Ryzen 7000 is finally here, and PCGH was there to witness its launch, live. Not by simply watching the video stream, but in person, on site, and in the crowd for the launch in Austin, Texas. AMD CEO Lisa Su officially unveiled Ryzen 7000 aka Zen 4. We will provide an overview of all the models, their prices, performances, and efficiency. We will also highlight how AMD compares the performance of the new Ryzen processors with the competition. AMD confidently shows a gaming benchmark in which a Ryzen 5 outperforms Intel's current top model by 11%. Does Intel need to be worried now? More performance, more efficiency. According to AMD, the upcoming Ryzen 7000 series single-core performance increases by up to 29% compared to the previous generation. This equates to a 13% higher IPC performance, plus 16% contributed by the much higher single-core boost of up to 5.7 GHz. AMD also claims to have increased the efficiency by up to 74%. These numbers stem from comparing the new CPU with a Ryzen 9-12900K. These impressive gains in efficiency are based on comparing the 65-watt TDP settings of both Ryzen generations. Still, the significant differences with the lowest TDP setting suggest much higher clock rates compared to the previous generation. Let's move on to the individual models. Like its predecessors 3950X and 5950X, the new top model, Ryzen 9-7950X, offers 16 CPU cores which provide up to 32 threads with SMT. The clock rate has been increased to an impressive 5.7 GHz thanks to the new 5nm manufacturing. Of course, these stunning, best-case boost clocks will probably only apply to 1, maximum 2 cores. On the other hand, the base clock is set at 4.5 GHz. This seems astonishingly high, so high, in fact, that it could also be the all-core boost. The TDP is 170 watts for the Ryzen 9-7950X. In total, the 16-core CPU has a cache of 80 MB, with AMD adding the amount of L2 and L3 cache together. The CPU will be available for $699 from September 27th. Compared to Ryzen 9-12950X, AMD considers the new 16-core to have an advantage in performance of up to 48% in applications and up to 35% in gaming. In not very core-heavy scenarios, such as Borderlands 3, the Zen 4 CPU only gains a meager 6%. In return, it beats an Intel Core i9-12900K by as much as 57% in the content creation demo V-Ray rendering. According to information provided by AMD, the new Ryzen top model is up to 47% more efficient. Unquestionably, Ryzen 9-3900X was already very popular, as the CPU offered many cores, high performance, and reasonable efficiency, especially when confronted with professional workloads, all for a reasonable price. With Zen 3, performance and efficiency could be increased even further in the guise of Ryzen 9-5900X. AMD sticks to its guns and continues its success story with the perfect all-rounder Ryzen 7-7900X, the 12-core clocks with up to 5.6 GHz single-core boost and has a base clock, or all-core boost, of 4.7 GHz, according to AMD. Like its bigger brother, the TDP is 170 watts. The CPU has a total of 76 MB of cache and will be available for $549 from September 27th. Zen 4 scores up to 39% higher performance per megahertz in some benchmarks in comparison to its predecessor. AMD has recorded these gains in IPC benchmarks with equalized conditions. The processors were all run at 4 GHz with 8 cores and 16 threads. In the CPU-Z benchmark, the marginal differences of only a single % higher single-core performance is striking. Regarding these narrow differences after comparing the IPC performance, it can be assumed that a large part of the Zen 4's additional performance stems from the much higher clock rates. AMD hasn't forgotten the good old days when Ryzen 7-3700X was around, and apparently still has the 7800X up its sleeve. However, this causes a bit of confusion. The Ryzen 7 3700X and 5700X are based on a TDP of 65 watts. AMD's new Ryzen 7 7700X, on the other hand, has a TDP of 105 watts. This is almost certainly due to the higher single-core boost of up to 5.4 GHz and the base/all-core clock of 4.5 GHz. In total, the new 8-core CPU has 40 MB of cache. The upcoming Ryzen 7 7700X will be available for $399 from September 27th. The new 6-core Ryzen 5 7600X clocks with up to 5.3 GHz, base/all-core boost up to 4.7 GHz, and has a TDP of 105 watts, which might be unusual for all those who started with AMD's Ryzen 5000. But then again, Zen 2, Ryzen 3000 also had two 6 cores with an increased TDP class in comparison to its predecessor, equipped with up to 38 MB cache. This new hexacore CPU is supposed to be able to take on the competitor's top model, Intel's Core i9-12900K. The CPU will be available for $299 starting at the 27th of September. Very self-assuredly, AMD places all the upcoming Zen 4 processors ahead of the competitor's recent top model. One should not completely forget that with Raptor Lake, Intel soon could have an even hotter product in the making. Still, a presumably very efficient Ryzen 5 7600X outperforming an i9-12900K would be an exciting match to watch. Upcoming tests will show whether AMD can hold up its promises. Not surprisingly, but very pleasing to see, is AMD's official confirmation that further processors with 3D cache are in the making. We don't expect a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D right away, but it is almost certain that this one, or even a model with even more cores, will leave the production line at TSMC and optimized for nanometers manufacturing. It will be the envy of every gamer out there. The same goes for Zen 5, presumably Ryzen 8000 or Ryzen 9000. AMD hasn't provided much information about certain aspects of the platform yet. However, it is already known that the new boards will rely on PCI Express 5.0 and DDR5. Rumors continue that only the extreme variants can provide PCIe 5.0 for the GPU and the M2 SSD at the same time. The Nani boards are rumored to only support one at a time. But otherwise, there's only good news. The CPU cooler bracket remains identical to the AM4 model, so all coolers will fit the new socket that also worked with the old one. AMD emphasizes that support for AM5 should last at least until 2025 plus. Apparently, the longevity of AM4 went down very well with customers, and the cheapest boards are supposed to start at $125. Another novelty is AMD Expo, which basically is AMD's own XMP for fast DDR5 memory. According to AMD, up to 11% higher gaming performance should be possible with it. XMP is still supported, though. At its launch, there will be 15 RAM kits that support AMD's technology. With Zen 4, AMD doesn't stop at surpassing its own Ryzen 5000 processors in every aspect. They also want to compete with Intel's powerful Alder Lake processors. They would like to beat their previous generation primarily with enhanced performance, while they confront their competitor with a massive increase in efficiency. If all this turns out to be true and the price is right, we will be in for an exciting new processor generation. Please like this video if you found the information helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
3, 2, 1, go. Game over.